The country has recently witnessed a distressing number of tragic incidents where individuals in romantic relationships have resorted to taking their own lives. The alarming trend has sent shockwaves throughout the country and ignited, of course, the urgent calls for comprehensive measures to tackle the underlying issues contributing to these heartbreaking tragedies. In recent months, several high-profile cases of lovers' suicide have come to light, drawing widespread attention and concern. These incidents have cut across various age groups, socioeconomic backgrounds, and also regions, underscoring the need for a deeper understanding of the complex factors contributing to such acts of desperation. We'll go into details on that for you shortly, but first let's head to Kumasi, where the police inspector accused of gunning down his girlfriend in Kumasi says he's not guilty as he is committed for trial at the court, of course, in July. Inspector Ahmed Chumisi at the committal proceeding at the Sokori Mampon District Court angered relatives of the deceased when he told the courts that he's not guilty, but prosecution told the courts that they are ready for his trial. They presented exhibits and original copies of reports on the case to the court ahead of the High Court's trial on July 13 this year. We're joined now by Erastus Saridonko, who's been following up on the story for us, joining us via Zoom. Erastus, grateful for your time. What's the update and what more can you report about this tragic story?
Well, so this story has been running for close to 2 months now. The inspector is with the Weapons Tactics Unit of the Ghana Police Service in Kumasi. If you remember, about a month ago, he shot his girlfriend 6 times in the chest at the Dume, a popular area in Kumasi. And it was after, what had become allegations of what he found to be the woman trying to leave him. Mm-hmm. And so he decided to end her life because according to him, he has invested so much in the lady. And in fact, from audio that we've heard going around prior to the act, he was telling a lady friend that indeed he was going to kill the girl who is in his late 20s, and he went ahead, used his own pistol. It's an M22 pistol, and shot her 6 times. And in fact, when he came to court, that's during his committal proceedings. He was being committed to stand trial at the High Court, and that is coming up July 13. That is when, during the trial, the judge asked that now that he's being committed for trial, does he have anything to say? And indeed, he said that he's not guilty. And that sound, to me, came from somebody who is already broken. You see how his head was bowed, looking extremely sober. And he is not guilty came out in a murmured tone. Mm. Somebody who is trying very hard not to cry. That's how it sounded. And it was almost coming out of sobering, that he was sobering beneath that point. Right. And then he said, yeah. So that angered the relatives a lot who had gathered outside that, people saw you. CCTV cameras came up with information, so they were not expecting that answer from him.
Okay, but going forward, July 13, what are we expecting?
In fact, we're expecting a lot. The judge consequently asked him whether he will be calling witnesses. He said yes, and that will be done by his lawyers. When finally his lawyer mounts the stand, he will call lawyers. He was also asked whether he has any alibi. If perhaps he will say that he did not commit the crime, and so he will later say where he was. The judge wanted him to say it now, so they put it in the docket. But he said, well, he has an alibi, but that will be communicated at a later date. And so we are expecting that the prosecution, as they've said, they've handed over the exhibit in court, the murder weapon. They've handed over reports, other reports, crime scene reports, autopsy report, which indicates that the lady, the victim, died of hemorrhagic shock out of gunshot wounds. So they will be presenting all those facts before the court to prove that indeed he was the one who killed him.
Okay, then. And our Cesare Donko giving us the latest on this case, but it's bringing up and opening up the conversation to this love life and why we're seeing increasing cases of lovers attacking or either killing the other half. I want to bring in our psychologist, Dr. Isaac Newman, for more on this. And Doc, you have some sense of what goes through the minds of some of these victims when these cases comes up. But give us a mental picture of what one may be experiencing in such a situation. Dr. Newman, if you're with us, I was just asking about that pictorial, that graphic image that you can draw for all of us to relate to what individuals go through in such circumstances. It appears that we're having some challenges connecting with Dr. Isaac Newman, who is joining us via Zoom. You're still watching The Pulse here on the Joy News channel. Let's try one more time to see if we can get Dr. Newman. Dr. Newman, apologies for that. I was just asking you earlier about you painting the picture to us, what individuals such as this go through when they have these cases going on or their lovers disappoint them.
Yeah, well, I want to say thank you to you, and also I want to greet all those who are watching. Mental health issues are very, very, important, very significant issues, and it has to do with how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. So anybody who's gone through any loss or any traumatic event or any event that is unpleasant, there is this emotional pain that, depending on what they've been going through, they may not be able to even find words for. And depending on how they've been able to cope and adjust over many years, current things may be too painful for them to even handle. So for some people, when they have that emotional pain, some of them go into all kinds of behaviors I don't want to mention on TV because it's TV.
Yeah, but in this case, for instance, I'm just wondering what may push someone to the extreme. We're not saying he's, of course, guilty of what's going on in court now, but what could push a lover to the extreme to say, in some extreme cases, killing or going to the extent of attacking physically the other half?
Yeah, so I was talking about general emotional pain, and sometimes some people even use self-injurious behaviors to cope with pain. So when it comes to pain, people have different threshold to pain depending on how their things have gone with them, even from childhood. So when it comes to people who demonstrate some violent or criminal behaviors in this manner, there are various things. The first one has to do with, there are some people who have even a genetic risk to be more violent than others.
Oh, really?
And so there are people like that. Then also there are some others too who maybe due to parental problems, right from childhood, any child who's gone through any kind of difficult childhood, including abuse and things like that. It doesn't matter the kind of abuse it is. So parenting problems, can turn kids into something else. So in the adult years, it just shows up. Some children, even as children, become very, very violent and aggressive. And usually it's as a result of, unresolved internal problems and conflict and emotional problems, and it turns into something else. Then again, too, everybody has a way of coping with life situations. Not everybody has the capacity, to cope with disappointment the way they should. And they may use all kinds of dysfunctional behaviors to cope with life situations. Some will use, substances like marijuana, cocaine, and those hard drugs. Some will use, some addictive behaviors like pornography, masturbation. Others may use gambling. Others may also go into some crime-related behaviors because they are not able to cope and adjust with life situations. You know.
Interesting.
Then again, yes, when there is any kind of loss, people may not be able to, like I said, be able to cope and adjust. Then they use all kinds of things to be able to express whatever they feel in there.
We need to have this conversation again. We're running out of time, Dr. Newman. And my instinct is just leading me to ask you whether you've dealt with a heartbreak before.
Obvious. When I was younger.
I hope you weren't violent then. It's been
no.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Newman. We'll have this conversation again. But thanks for watching. That's all we have for you in this package of The Pulse.